good? Is that straight? Gotcha.
In the bay going crazy. Put peace on the hood, Mercedes. Young boys letting off 80. Leaning next to a DR like Haiti. This ain't no Bonner, no Bailey. No internet clown gon' play me. Money ain't never gon' make me. I can win with a couple bucks like Brady. ACA baby, you cannot shame me. What they gon' pay me to shut my mouth?
What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Shaping the Culture. Hope all is well with you guys. Listen, we've got a great episode ahead of us. We've got a special guest with us. This man is hilarious, fam. I've been following him for some time, and every time he posts, I look forward to it because he just finds unique ways to, kind of paint a picture of what's going on with Christian culture at large, but in a funny way. And in a day and age where everything is so serious all the time, and we got so many people always talking about what's wrong with the world, to have someone who loves Jesus and brings a smile to our faces is a refreshment. We got none other than Matthew Hudson with us. What's good, bro?
Hey, man, what's good, man? Chilling, man. Thanks for having you, boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm excited.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Excited as well, bro. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. Love what you're doing, love what you're about. And so I'm hyped for this convo, bro.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So for those who don't know who you are, I doubt it. For those tuning in, they probably have some context to who you are. Just let us in. Give us an inside scoop. Who are you? Where do you come from? Where you at? All that good stuff.
So my name is Matthew Hudson. Born in Mississippi.
Okay.
But I'm currently living in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've been here since, I came here when I was 10, and I went back to Mississippi school, and I moved back at 24.
Okay.
And then I've been here ever since. I'm 34 now.
Okay.
So I've been here for the past 10 years.
Nice.
And you know what I'm saying? Just been residing here, kicking it, shooting videos, making content, talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
That's who I am, man.
That's awesome. So you're used to the heat, because Atlanta, Georgia, the heat there is different, but you're from Mississippi, so you're not.
Yeah, we was out there in the country, man. Yeah, man. We was baking out there. Straight sun, all land, man. No shade.
Man, I don't know how y'all do it, bro. I'm from Minnesota. We're on the other extreme where it gets really cold, and so
Nah, man, I can't. It was 50 degrees down here yesterday, and I was like about to ride my bike home. But I was like, bro, I can't do that. It's too cold out there, man. It's too cold. I can't. Bro,
the ultimate prank is to have you do a show in Minneapolis in the middle of winter. That would be hilarious. Yeah,
man. I don't know, man. Lord willing, but you know I don't want to go up to no cold area, man. I can't do it.
I feel it. Well, let us know. I mean, did you grow up in the church? It sounds like you're from the Bible Belt, and so I don't know what your background is, but what's your story there? How did you come to know the Lord? All of that good stuff.
Man, when I say I grew up in church, it was like I don't remember days not being in church like that. Like coming up in Mississippi, it's like you say, the Bible Belt, bro. Like that's all. My mama had 6 boys.
Wow.
Almost all like a year apart, and I'm not like number 3. And like all we know is church. They raised us in the church. I actually went back to visit my hometown where like one of the houses that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And it's a really small town. And I looked at the house and I looked at the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like literally next door. Like
Wow.
the church, my house is here and the church here, and we was just there like all the time. So I would say, you I don't know if you count. If you Christian, you grow up church, you just identify as Christian, but I don't think you can't do that. But I would say that I've been knowing the Lord since I was a kid, but it wasn't really until like I really got exposed to like Jesus was revealed, like what he did on the cross and all that stuff. Was till like after college. But like I grew up church. All I know is church. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't. I ain't never had really like how people had them like testimonies.
Yeah.
Like man, I went through this. I don't got one of those, man. I was just. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up, I knew the Lord, but I didn't know him to that extent until God hit me. He's like, oh, this is Jesus is. So it's like my mind just got kind of renewed. But I just grew up in church, man. And I know church in and out, but that's like, that's my story. It's like, I knew church. church is me. I am church. Like,
yeah, you're basically born in the church, huh?
Born, raised, like 12-hour day, like 12-hour shifts. And so like from sun up, Sunday,
goodness.
we ain't leaving church till about 8-9 p.m. because we and this is like maybe 3 to 4 days a week. Church.
Were your parents in ministry, dad, deacon, elder, pastor, anything like that, or why are you at church so long?
Because you grow up in the South, man. Everybody's small towns. Everybody know each other. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, it's crazy because a lot of that stuff that I learned in church, like how we be in church so long, I was like, bro, I would never do that again. But like my parents, knew so many people, like, and that'll be a lot of times where they go and they fellowship, and I didn't understand. Like they was just like talking to family and friends, and they'll stay. And I was like, I never stay in churches though. Like I used to be ready to go, but now I do that same stuff. Like when I'm in church, I stay back like an hour or so after church and kick it. Then probably go get something to eat. But it's like, it's that like community piece. But it was just like, they was like, my dad ministered. My mom was she was a teacher, worshiper. She did everything in the church. So
that's what's up.
All 6 of us was in there, man.
Man, that's so dope. So if you didn't really have like a crazy testimony where you were like out there with it, it was just God making Jesus revealed to you. Do you know what that moment was like, or do you remember what that moment was like, or were you at church, were you in your dorm, or you said it was post college actually? So like, what was that moment, and what did God have to make real to you?
So I kind of grew up like in one of those. It was like Kojic Baptist. I was mixed with a lot of different denominations, you know what I'm saying, coming up. So I knew of God, and I had like more of I was scared to do wrong type of mentality. Like our mama would teach us all this stuff, but I had a very works-based type of faith. Like I have to do this to earn God's favor. And it's crazy because when I went to college, it was like I would run into people that knew Jesus, but I don't know why it wasn't like my eyes weren't open to what they did, because they understood Jesus, but I was like, bro, like growing up, I always felt there was something missing because I always was feeling guilty about everything. It's like, man, I can't, for some reason, lose the guilt if I don't do something right. I'm thinking like, man, I gotta make sure I spend more time in my word, or make sure I do this. And if I'm not doing it, it's like, man, I'm gonna go to hell, this type of stuff. But it wasn't until, and I always thought, I was like, bro, it's something missing. Like I know a lot of people were around me, even in college, was very sin country. That's all they would talk about. I was like, bro, I know I sin now, but I don't want to be walking around like just thinking about how sinful I am. Like I know it's got to be something more to this, but I just couldn't. Like it wasn't really nobody, I would say, really teaching me about the person of Jesus. So my mom moved us to. She initially, this is when I went back to Mississippi, but she moved us from Mississippi because of that reason. Because we didn't even get to play sports because of that type of stuff. You can't sport because you'll like end up going against God and stuff like that. Like that's how deep in the tradition and the religious stuff that we were in. But I didn't really know it until I grew up on my own. But when I moved back to Atlanta and I went to my church, I was there for about 20 years, and that's when I was like, I just came like a regular Sunday, and I had been there. I think it was my first time back in the church. I went in there, and the dude was preaching, and he was like, what Jesus did on the cross finished the work. It's like there's no more self. You don't have to earn His favor. There's no more self. It's like you can't do anything to earn it. Like it's a free gift. I never knew. I was like, come on, bro, I ain't never heard that before. It's like, you mean to tell me I ain't got to do nothing to obtain like His grace, His mercy, His love? Like He loves me just because. But it's like it's not like I didn't know that, or it just was like it was like in my face, but I didn't. It's like it wasn't revealed to me. It's like I said, what? And it's crazy because that was the first time I felt an actual, like I literally felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, and I've never felt that way again. So I knew it was real because when I left out the church, me and my dad, I think this is his first time like hearing. He was like, man, I never knew that. He was like, and we both kind of got mad because he's like, bro, some folk got to go to hell because I've been putting in the work, man. I'm like, bro, I'm putting in the work, bro. You mean to tell me folk getting in scot-free? But that was just our limited understanding of like what it means to like to actually see Jesus revealed in that way and what the work of the cross actually did. It's like, and then I went home that night and it was like a panel of people, my preacher, and he was like on TV and he was preaching where he was sitting on the panel talking. And I heard it, like I heard more of it, and I just started crying. And I don't be crying like that. Now, I don't be crying, but I cried because it was just that good. And like I had never heard of that. And just to see like, man, I don't have to live in guilt and shame of me continue. Like if I get it wrong, I know there's grace, but it's empowering me to live a righteous life. But it's just I can't do it on my own. And he like really like, yo, you took that off of me. It's like you don't have to earn it. My love will like actually, empower you to live the life that I called you to live. So it's like, bro, that was probably one of the most dopest moments. Like it was crazy because it was like I was looking for it. I knew it was something missing, and when I finally heard it, I said, "That's what it is." Like that's what I was missing all these years. So man.
That's so dope. I actually have a similar story. I grew up a pastor's kid. And so I always tell people when people ask me what my testimony is, I always say, God delivered me from self-righteousness because my whole thing was I'm going to do my best to be the best kid out here. And I remember being rocked by the gospel. And in a similar way, God, I didn't really know how bad I was because I was spending all my time trying to prove how good I was. And then God revealed how bad I was, but in the same instance revealed how much he loved me.
Right.
And I actually do be crying. That's the difference between me and you. But I was crying. I was crying. That was another moment I was crying. I was like, oh, your love is so good, God. Yeah. Right. So, and to your point, it's like, man, I grew up in the church. It was always in front of me. But, man, that's just the power of the Holy Spirit illuminating God's word to us and making himself real to us. And so, man, thanks for sharing that. That's really powerful.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I be thinking about, I was like, why did you choose to reveal it at that time? It's like I needed it. Yeah. But it's like he revealed it when I was 24, but it was like I was looking, it's like you looking for it. Yeah. But you're not really looking for it because you ain't spending as much time in the word as you need to, but your heart is still, but it's like, I just can't get it. But then it's like, I'm gonna reveal it to you at this time. It's like, dang. So it's
beautiful when it happens, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad it happened, man, because I don't know what would have happened to me if I would have stayed in Mississippi. They wasn't teaching it like that. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel it, bro. I feel it. Yeah. I know a lot of churches that aren't teaching it like that either, bro. So I get that. Well, praise God that God did open your eyes and he's got you on this path. And man, that's amazing.
Yeah, sir.
Well, let me ask you this. If you grew up in the context that you grew up in, was humor a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? You know how some churches, like, you can't get your ears pierced, you know what I'm saying? You can't get tattoos. You can't listen to secular music. There's no jokes. You can't watch Dave Chappelle and Martin Lawrence. I grew up in that world as well. And so first of all, two-part question. Were you always funny, and did you always feel like you were sinning because you were funny?
Nah, man, I was actually shocked coming up. I was like the quiet, like, don't like nobody, like, leave me alone type of kid. You know what I'm saying? According to my parents. But like, we was just kind of like a holy, what they call a sanctified church. So everything that wasn't, it really wasn't, I don't remember laughing when I was in Mississippi. But granted, I was a kid, but like, that based on like what my mom would say, but we couldn't, like I say, we couldn't play sports. So if we could play sports, or they told, not that we couldn't play, but they told us like, well, if you get into sports, you'll make it an idol or something like that. So
did they even that alone? Did they believe competition was a sin? I know some churches believe that.
Like I can't even tell you everything about, because I was so young, but I remember the effect of like, because they laid a good foundation of knowing who God is. For sure. But it's like I felt the effects of how I grew up well until I was like 24. So it's like, my dad was like, man, they didn't, couldn't wear pants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anything that wasn't like church or they felt like was God, like I know that church didn't laugh because a lot of churches today still look at laughter just in general. I don't really know. It's not necessarily like it's one of them things. It's like, well, I don't know. We got to make sure this is appropriate. This and this and this.
Right.
So it's still. So I know coming up, it wasn't like nobody joking in church back then. In a way.
Yeah. That's real. So like, how did you break out then? Because I mean, you're out here killing us with all these jokes and these skits. And if you grew up in a church that was very serious, you were quiet to yourself. Was it one of those things where as you grew older, you discovered these things about yourself? Was it your friends being like, hey, man, that's actually funny? Or where did that come from?
So, like I said, I was real shy coming up, man. Like I didn't even get like a Facebook or anything until like, I think in college sometime. Wow. And I was very fearful, like coming. Like I was one of them kids. You'd be like, man, I was scared, but I don't even know why I was scared of a lot of stuff but I know fear was something that I struggled with. Looking back at it now, but it wasn't until I went to college that I found out that because I got 6 brothers. So my oldest brother was a very he's an outgoing dude. So when I moved to Mississippi, everybody knew who he was. Yeah. So when I came there, I was still like this, bro. I don't want to talk to nobody. Like I'm not funny, none of that. Yeah. Like I really didn't think I was funny. Yeah. But then when they met me, they was like, bro, you kind of like your brother. You kind of crazy like him. Yeah. But I was just being myself. I wasn't doing nothing but like being myself. So and then I went to the University of Mississippi, and it continued there. We was like, man, you funny, you crazy. And then that's when YouTube and stuff started popping. So when I was in junior college for 2 years, and that's where my brother would come down and help me. But we started making videos. Yeah. I even joined the choir. That's another, like I joined the choir, like, bro, that's unheard of. Like I joined the choir because that's when I got to know a lot of people. And then like me and my brother started making, like he's like with comedy stuff, like he's like improv, like he was just well known because he was just so crazy and silly in a good way. Yeah. So we started making YouTube videos or Facebook videos, and we were made like a couple about the swine flu. I think was going around the time. We made a joke about that. Okay. Like cheating on tests and stuff like that. So we made these Facebook videos, and then I think YouTube started popping. So my 2 younger brothers, we made the videos first, and then they made their videos. So we kind of going back and forth, but then they just went stupid viral. Wow. So I mean, I'm pretty sure people know them, but my younger brothers are, I don't know if you're familiar, Emmanuel and Philip Hudson. Yeah. They're on Wild 'N Out and stuff like that. Yeah. So those are my younger brothers. Yeah. So that all started with me and my older brother. We made videos and they made them. And then we just stopped because we was in college and they kind of took off. But that's when I started realizing that, people was calling me funny, but it didn't click yet until I graduated. Yeah. And then I was like, I got involved in a new church. People stepped calling me funny. I was like, Instagram started popping. Yeah. I started making videos like, well, I make a couple clean ones. I was like, and people kept telling me, they was like, you funny. I was like, all right, well, I know that I know church and I like Jesus. So let me start, doing it that way. Yeah. So I started doing it at like 24, and then I've been doing that ever since. So I've done some, I've done stand up before, put on shows, but it's like that's how like I started at like 24, really kind of like doing it, and now I'm more convinced than ever. It's like I could do comedy, but I don't really. I ain't gonna do it unless Jesus got something to do with it, because that's the reason. Like I feel like He gave it to me so I can like.
That's so good, bro.
It just helped me communicate the gospel a little bit better. It may not be like the main thing, but it's like that's the gift I got. You know what I'm saying? So I can take it, make it funny, not necessarily make it funny, but I can draw people in because it's funny, and I can get the gospel to them at the same time if I, just by doing that. So like I kind of came up, I discovered as people were telling me. And then I just started making it. Like, that's why you hear a lot of Christians say, man, Instagram and all these social media is of the devil. And I hate when people say that because it's like, it ain't nothing but a tool, bro. So that's it's so like,
good, man.
Just get on and do, like, if you pushing, like, Jesus and stuff like that as a Christian, like it ain't nothing but a tool. Of course, you're gonna have ignorant people, but don't turn it down because it's the devil. Because people will you have more access to thousands, millions of people, and all you got to do is just do your thing on there. And I said, all right, well, I'm just gonna use it just like the newspaper, books, all this other stuff is just tools for us to communicate the gospel or use it as a platform to bring glory to God. So that's why I started. Like Facebook, Instagram came all this stuff out, and kind of went from there.
I love it, bro. I love how you said all these things are just a tool. I always think of it like a steak knife. You can either like stab someone to death with that, or you can cook a nice steak dinner with it, right? What makes it, good or bad is not the knife in itself, but whose hands it's in, you know what I'm saying? And so humor in and of itself isn't bad. It's, who's using it and why are they using it or what have you.
Right.
And so I love that, bro. That's so deep. And I wanted to ask you this because to my knowledge, I don't know a lot of like Christian comedians. Like there's a few, like I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head, but outside of that, I don't know too many. You got Kev on Stage, of course, he's the biggest one. And then why am I forgetting his name? Michael Jr. I think that's
Michael something Jr.
Yeah. Our
yeah.
college, I went to a Christian university. They actually brought him out a couple of times while I was there. He's dope. But yeah, other than that, I don't know too many others who actually do like Christian comedy. And so my question for you is, did that discourage you going into it? Like not really having a lot of examples, or did you have examples? Maybe I'm just ignorant to all of that. Like, how did you like get encouraged to make content this way, knowing that this wasn't really a thing in the Christian space?
I wasn't even conscious of that. Like it's like when I started doing it, it was really like our family is gifted creatively, like from my mom, my dad, to all of my brothers. Like it's almost like it's like you look at somebody and say, hey, y'all need to be doing this because it's there. So it's like I didn't really have a lot of people. Like I like funny movies. Like I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah,
my favorite movie is Life. Like Martin Lawrence is my favorite. Not stand-up wise, but his acting as far as like in the show Martin. Yeah. Like that's who, when I think about kind of modeling like my mannerisms and stuff like that after, it's what he did on Martin, because like that was him, Jamie Foxx, all them men that had them TV shows. Yeah. But Martin was the guy that was like if you like watch my facial expression, I try to, it's influenced by what he did. So it's like, I just knew I like church. Like I said, I know how to make church funny because I know how Christians think. Yeah. I know they would do in a given situation. So I didn't start realizing that it wasn't people in this space until maybe just like a few years ago. It's like, it's not like we got Kevin on Stage, and I actually Googled Christian community. Wow. I could easily, if I ain't gonna say easily, like anything boastful, like if you like they had like a top 10, like a 10 list, is like most of them are like white, and you had like two black people, but it's like one of them lists is like it's really not like not prevalent like that. It's like so it's like, but I wasn't thinking about that. I just know that like, hey, people say this is funny, it's relatable. Yeah, some people are looking for it. So when Christians find it, they was like, well, I don't know if too many other Christian comedians doing this, so. Yeah, like they come in, they look for it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like Instagram is helping, but it's like, I wasn't conscious of like, well, ain't nobody doing it, so it scared me. It's just like, bro, I just think that it's funny, so I'm gonna do it. And then I'm Christian, I love so that. I'm just incorporate my values in, and it's like the fact that there ain't no people really in it like that. Yeah. Better for me, you know what I'm saying? If this is the Lord is continuing to be calling me this way, it's like, sure, it's like the lane is kind of wide open. And so like, it's like, I'm big on like, it's like, I can make clean comedy, but it's something on the inside of me saying like, bro, that's just not enough. Like, cause we got that. We got people that do clean stuff, but it's like, I think of ideas that are funny. Yeah. And they don't got nothing to do with Jesus. I'd be like, I'll post it, but I don't really want to. But when I got the idea that to communicate Jesus or the gospel and something, I like putting that stuff out. And people tell you like, man, you don't got to make everything about Jesus. Sometimes I'm like, I understand it, but I don't know. Like, I don't really know how not to do it because that's what I like to do it for. You know what I'm saying? But I can be funny, but I feel like the Lord specifically called me, hey, I need you to do it this way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm learning to like He made me funny, so I could be funny. But if I'm not doing it for that reason, then it's like not a waste, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, it's just not the same. Like I mean, I'm trying to do this simply to communicate the gospel a little bit better, like help people that, you know, that bring all type of people. People come, Jackie Hill Perry said a quote that I'll never forget that I kind of adopted into why I do what I do. She was like, somebody asked her, why is it easier for people to come see you do poetry rather than hear you preach? Because she said people come for the art of the poetry. So when they come with the art, they don't come with barriers. And I can get the gospel to them through the poetry. But it was like when they come hear me preach, they already got walls up. It's like, that Jesus person. So with comedy, it's kind of the same thing. People come, they laugh and they laugh. But if just like you said, if you pay attention to some of the comedy that I do, it's like, it's funny, but like, it's something that make you really kind of think about like, oh, okay, well, you know, there's more to it than just you laughing, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
Comedy kind of break that wall down.
I love what you said, bro, because you know, a lot of the times, like especially in the space in the Christian market, there's like some serious money to be made. There's a lot of opportunities to build a platform. And nowadays, like I hear stories of people becoming Christian rappers, not because they're Christian, but because there's like a market and there's money there, or, you know, people wanting to be a speaker. And so, you know, they're like, they don't even know if they believe in Jesus all the way, but man, if I can get these placements and I can get these, you know, I can secure the bag. But for you, it kind of seemed like you weren't trying to be no Christian something. You didn't even, that wasn't an aim. It was like, I love humor. This is amazing. I love the church. Like, you were driven by your love for these two communities. And it was like bridging the two gap. And as you were speaking, it hit me. I was like, yeah, I don't even know if there's any comics like you or comedians like you, because when I think of the Michael Juniors and the Kev on stage, they've got a very different format with their humor. You are, and now that I'm thinking about your skits, I'm thinking about the sheep in wolf's clothing and things like that. Like, you really are trying to make sense of the gospel through humor, you know, that's something we haven't seen before. And I think that's like really beautiful. I think you did a great job, like articulating kind of the heart behind what you do and even the vision for what you do. But I wanted to ask you, why is it important to laugh in church? You say laugh because God is good. You talked about growing up in a context where laughter wasn't really a thing. It wasn't valued. I grew up in the same context. Why do you think we need to laugh, bro? Like, what's the beauty? What's the magic in laughter?
Man, that's a question that I'm an answer that I'm still like working on. But I called it God is funny first, because you know how you had those moments like where God would work something out that you thought you was trying to tripping on. You like, man, God, you funny. Like, and I changed
That's
it.
Real.
Because somebody had asked me like, well, my God ain't funny. That was a dude had told me when I told him, I was like, it's God is funny. And I ended up changing because like I wanted something more that could communicate like what the purpose I feel like the purpose of laughter is because I usually laugh if it's not for something like kind of like stupid, like the videos that we see on Instagram. Not that those are wrong, but it's like God gave it to us as a gift. Like, it belongs to him. So it's like, all right, if you gave us this, like how do we use it? Like, I know there's a way because you done gave all these other gifts and they have like purposes and stuff. So it's like, you gave us for it to enjoy, but to enjoy not at like making light of people, like when it's real serious, like that ain't necessarily what you gave it for, to laugh at people bad comments or shortcomings and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that it's like so laugh because God is good is basically what I believe that kind of what the purpose of it is for. So in Psalms 126 is kind of like what I kind of founded it on. And that's when you see God, bring his, the children of Israel back from bondage. And they said it happened so fast, they thought they were dreaming. And they said that then their mouths were filled with laughter and their tongues were shouts of joy. And then you see, and then it said it was so much they were laughing like because of his goodness, and they were singing of his goodness, so much so that people on the outside from nation to nation, people that don't know God, they recognize he's like, oh, God has been good to them. Wow. And then they shook their head in agreement and said, yes, he has. He has been good to us. So it's like one of their responses to God's goodness is they laughed, you know what I'm saying? And then people on the outside saw what God is, saw their response, saw that God was being good, and then they turned around and said, yes, he has been good. So it's like an exchange. It's like people that don't know God saw it. So that created opportunity for the people that were experiencing God, that knew God, to say, yeah. And they, had that dialogue. Like there was an exchange, like, let me tell you about it. Like, he has been good, and here's how, this is what he did. So my whole thing is like, I laugh a lot of times. It's like I can laugh because I know that God has been good. He's like, I used to be this way. I can look at situations that I were in and I can laugh at those. I can listen to people joke about it because I can laugh about it because I've been delivered from that. Like I came from that. So I can look at those situations and say, oh, that's funny, because ultimately it's funny to see somebody like, nostalgia and stuff like that. Oh, I went through that. But I ultimately laugh because like, bro, like I was there, and it's so funny to me because God, like he brought me from that, or I've been through that. So it's like the way I think it just points people back to God. It's like I'm experiencing God, and then let me tell you about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's I think it has a purpose, and I don't think I haven't. I mean, I even looked up people that from a Christian perspective that wrote about laughter, and it's not as many. Like I've seen some quotes and stuff, but it's just like if he my bad. If he gave it, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
If he gave us the ability or that gift, like I think it's like anything that God has given us, like it's made to like bring him glory or point people back to him. So it's like when people see my content, I'll be wanting them to be like, that's funny, but it's something else to that. And then if they get that inquisitive, that's when I can come in, because now you inquisitive. Yeah. Like you want to know, oh, this is funny. Yeah. But they ain't like, what does that mean? Oh, now I got you. Not that I'm trying to set a trap, but now I can talk to you about, now I can get some Jesus in there. Yeah. So when I'm making videos with people, I remember I was here the other day and we was making some sketches, and I would tell the person, all right, this is the concept I have. Yeah. And it's gonna, and they was like, oh, that's clever. And I was like, well, it comes from chapter, verse, and I get to explain it to them, because it's like, oh, they don't really know. So it's like another way to like get the gospel out there, but we're putting it, like I did a video about it's like life stuff, but I did a video about like a dude coming in and basically said I was with you last night, but he wasn't. Yeah. And this girl came in and causing the fuss. She's like, I need you to lie for me. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna lie. And I end up not lying for him. So it's just instilling the character of God there, and it creates more of a conversation. Yeah. Why, Matthew, why didn't you lie? All right, now we can go back to the Bible. I can tell you the standard or point you to Jesus. Like, man, this is not, yada, yada, yada. But it's those, like, that's how, I think it is. It's like, man, I want y'all to laugh, but like, I want to point y'all to somebody too, so to bring glory to him. Yeah.
Bro, first of all, you preaching right now, dog. I didn't know I was going to get a preacher. I thought I was going to get a comedian. You over here giving us Bible verses and theological lessons, dog. Wow. Let me tell you, I was actually studying for the sermon this Sunday. We're in Advent season, and I'm, this week I'm tackling the idea of hope. We have hope because Jesus is coming and Jesus will return. Right. And I was looking at Isaiah 9, and in their history, when you look at, kind of like the ups and downs of the people of God. And in one certain instance, they were told to not hang around the Canaanites. And they were like, yo, kick out the Canaanites from your land, not because like you're called to be judgmental, but because if they get in here, they will persuade you to live an unholy life, and then you'll lose your saltiness essentially. And so get them out so that you can remain holy. And then watch this, as you obey, it's an apologetic for all these other nations to know your God, see your God, and repent and turn to your God, right? So that was the whole point. But the reason why I'm so blown away is because you brought up a Bible passage where, because you grow up hearing like obedience is an apologetic for the faith, or, people will come to know who Jesus is based on the life you live. You always hear sermons about, maybe we'd have more, unbelievers become believers if you lived out what you believed. But never really do you ever hear that passage or people saying laugh at the faithfulness of God, laugh at the goodness of God. Like, let that be so good to you, let it burst into laughter, so that all these other nations can be like, yo, what's so funny? Oh, your God is that good? Like, let me join. Too often it's the opposite. We're over here like, what's Martin Lawrence doing over there? Like, what's Dave Chappelle doing over there? Nobody's ever looking at the church to see what's funny or what have you. And so, bro, I'm so blessed by that. That's so good, bro. Like, laughter being an apologetic for the goodness of God, for the faithfulness of God. Why do you think the church needs to adopt this more, bro? As I'm hearing you speak, I'm feeling like, man, we need more humor. We need more comedians. We need more shows. I love the events that you're putting on in Atlanta, bro. That needs to go on tour or something, man. I'm over here missing out. I'm on Instagram like, wow, that's crazy. But why do you think this is such an important thing? I mean, you've given your life to this. This is something that you want to work towards. But why do you think that the church should laugh more?
Man, and that's a crazy thing, because I'm still trying to figure out like what all of this is like, because it's like you say, like when I say I was a shock, I wasn't looking for this. Like, this is not something that I was looking for. Like, the fact that I'm on stage and the people want me to ask me, like, bro, even inquire about me coming to do something, like, bro, like, I ain't really that as funny. Like, I look at it as like, bro, I was just like, I have no plans to go to college, but that's when I kind of open up, is when I get to college. But I had no plans to go. But I end up moving back home. It's just like, all right, man. And then all this Instagram, I was like, bro, it's still amazing to me that people would buy a ticket to come to the show. I'm like, this is, and I still tell the guy, I was like, bro, if this ain't what you want to do, I ain't got to do it, bro, because it's not who I thought I would be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who I thought I would, but it definitely wasn't gonna be on somebody's stage to be making them laugh, because I was the shyest one in my family. But so I was like, that question of why do I think the church? Because I just think like I can't read the Bible without finding like something to like laugh at, and it's just like and I just think if it's just like not just laughing at or profaning it, it's just like just to see the interaction in it, and it's just like, man, it's like you see yourself so much in the Bible, like especially in the Old Testament, like how they would complain against Moses. Like, you take that, like you just take, like, they was asking for, like, they was hungry, man. We about to go back to the, like, bro, we really about to go back to Egypt, because it was like, at least we had, like, that stuff. To me, I look at that and I bring it to life, and I'm like, bro, that's us. We complain like that. And this is how we would do it today. But it's just like, it's just like, man, I think when people get to God, it's like they feel like they losing out on something. It's like, I can't. Where I'm gonna have fun at? Where will I? It's like they think they missing out, but then you really not. You like gaining so much more, and like it's like you can still laugh, bro. Like, you still can enjoy life, and like God is like giving us all this stuff for us to enjoy. So it's like, bro, laugh. Like, don't. It's like laughter. It kind of makes you like forget. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go to a place and I can forget these situations that I'm going through, and in that I can be like, man, like, Lord, like, shoot, man, I got a lot going on, but like I got joy. Like, I can express joy through laughter. I'm still trying to answer that question. That's good, but I know that it's like, it's a thing with like inviting. It ain't even like that. It's got to be like invited on the Sundays it just got to be like like we should be the most laughingest people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because like we like we have the answer.
Yeah.
And we get so much joy for the answer. So like, shoot, we can enjoy ourselves. We can laugh, and it doesn't have to be at our expense of something negative.
Yeah.
Like, but it's a tough question that I'm still like praying and asking God, like, bro, like, why is this is so important? Like, what is it? You know, like what I know it belongs to you, but like, what is it? And the only thing I'm doing, I was like, man, I'm gonna make this content, and until you tell me to stop, and that's when I stop. But it's just like, I don't know, man. Like,
you know what that
I
reminds
can't go
me
a day without. Yeah, go ahead.
That reminds me of Abraham, bro. So like as I'm hearing your whole story from the jump, it just seems like, you know, you were shy, quiet to yourself, and you just being faithful with what's in front of you, saying yes. You didn't have the whole plan marked out for you. It's not like God came and was like, hey, Matthew, this is what we're going to do for the next 10 years. This is how it makes sense. And it's kind of like God's like, yo, come follow me. You got to leave your hometown, leave your family. Abraham's like, where we're going. God's like, you don't need to know that. Just go.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like beautiful to see God blessing your obedience, you know, like just every step of faithfulness. God is entrusting you with more of an audience. God is trusting you with more vision. God is trusting you with more insight into all of this. And just to see you working it out in real time is an encouragement for me, especially in this like hustle culture, grind culture,
right,
where you got to have your life figured out by 18 and you got to go for it 1,000 miles per hour. And it's like, hold up. I'm still trying to make sense of myself right now. I'm still trying to make sense of God right now. I like this thing. I like that thing. I mean, let me see how this works out. And you know, there's no more room for one thing leading to another. Like it almost feels like you have to force everything and you got to make it happen for yourself. But I'm encouraged by your story because it's just steps to faithfulness, and you're here and you're like, all right, God, what's next? What's next?
And I don't be having, man. I feel like I be like doing stuff, and it's like, bro, I should have stewarded this a little bit. It's like I put a show together, but it's like, all right, well, I don't really know. I just know that I have an idea for a show. I was like, I found the building. Like he'll give me the building. I'll be looking something completely. The last show I did one in October. The one that y'all see the clips for.
Yeah.
That building, I like right before that. People kept telling me let's put, because we did one in February.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't put no show together because I don't have no building. And every time I look for a building, I don't never get one, or something happened to where it's like it's not as it's just not working. But my friends be telling me, bro, you gotta do it this way. I was like, bro, I understand what y'all saying, but I don't have an answer for y'all.
Yeah.
So I did a show in February.
Yeah.
And people were, well, let me go back to my first show in 2019. And this is how God has always done it. Like I had 3 shows in total, 1 in 2019 and 2 this year.
Yeah. And
he's always worked it out for the exact same way, to the point where it's like he want me. It's like he's trying to get me to be like, bro, Jake, get out the way, man. Like
sheesh.
Was doing comedy. I was doing videos, but people was like, man, you need to do a show. But I was scared to I was like, ain't nobody gonna pay to show it. So I made it free. So I was looking for months to find a venue. And I had got so frustrated. I was like, bro, I'm done. Yeah. But I had agreed prior to, I had this girl asked me to be on a panel about a relationship panel about people that were divorced. I'm a single man, never been married, and y'all want me to be on a panel about divorce? So I'm like, I just did it because they just knew that I was funny, so that we would think you'd add personality, but I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah. So I'm looking for a building to have a show at, but I can't find one. I've never done this before, so I gave up. I'm talking about, I gave up, and it was like 30 days before I was supposed to be on the panel of this divorce thing. And I complained every day to the Lord. I said, Lord, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on this panel. I think it's dumb. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I get there, I'm out of dress code. But when I got there, I'm talking about, I complained every day. When I got there to that building, I walked in there, and the Lord was like, this is where you're gonna have your show at. Dang. And I'm talking, it was a perfect space and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm like, man, this would be great. Like I knew it. It's like, bro, it's like, all right, this is it. It clicked. And all I could think about was, bro, I was just complaining because if that would have had the opportunity to kick me up, I wouldn't have came here.
Yeah.
So I got on the panel. I went to the pastor about the show. He's like, yeah, you could use this building for free. We'll have everything for you. This, and this, and this. I was like, shoot. I was like, I guess. And then I put the flyer out there. That was probably one of the scariest moments. I put the flyer out there. And as soon as I put the flyer out there, the tickets were claimed in like 2 weeks. So I didn't even get a chance to mark it. I just put it out there one day. Like, oh, they snatched them up. And when I say every show that I've done thus far has always been like that. Even the second one I did, there was like, I was supposed to have, but here's the crazy thing about it. I found a church. They were like, yeah, you can have it. You can have it here. I went to the church. And this one I was learning that like, man, it's kind of like hard to navigate comedy and being in the church. And I went to the church and I got in the church building. I was like, man, something ain't right about this. It had a lot of room to stage, but the stage was a little bit too high away like from the crowd. And it was like kind of far out. And I was like, man, this ain't really it. Yeah. And I knew it wasn't it because the dude that was trying to get me to build another church, he wasn't talking to me. And I'm like, bro, the show is in like a month, bro. Like you need to send me the contract. Yeah. But then he wouldn't. So like a week later, I was just kind of scrolling on Peerspace. It's like a thing where you could book venues. And I saw a building. I was like, hey, as soon as I saw it, I said, this is a building right here. Yeah. Like this is almost 3 weeks before the show. And I need a building. Go there, get the building. It's a discount. We charge for it. And like we sell it out, you know what I'm saying? And then the last show we did this past in October, they was like, you need to do another one. I was like, man, bro, y'all killing me, man. Yeah. I said, look, I don't have no building. I don't have a building. Like it's the same story. It's like, y'all want me to do it, I don't got no building. Yeah. And then we have a friend, and she ended up introducing us to a guy, and this building is like $11,000. Sheesh. We got connected to him. We had to pay. We didn't pay nowhere near that for the building. We had to pay for it, but it was such like a God thing because man, the reason that y'all got that I can post those clips is because they let us use that space, and I'm talking about they had like 10 cameras in there. Like I did not even know that they was gonna shoot it that way. Like it was that building space was so much of a God like assignment to the point where it's like he said that we would have a couple of cameras, but I'm talking about this junk was some state of the art type of stuff. And he said it was, but I didn't know that because at the walkthrough, it wasn't no cameras there. So I'm like, oh, they probably gonna have but when we got to the building,
surprise.
Like they would, bro, it was like stuff flying. I'm like, bro, what? Yeah. And the crazy thing about, because we had the building from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. And it was like, hey man, we're gonna let you get it at 4:30. Wow. But we needed it at 4:30 because I didn't pay for that, but we needed it because we had to get the cameras adjusted to the stage. And if God didn't allow us in there at 4:30, that show wouldn't have came together. And then like the people that I met along the way, God provided. And I know that this is like that God operates with me this way. Because after I did my first show, I'll never forget this. After I did my first show, I started planning the next one. I was like, I got the experience. Boom, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this. God slowed me down. He said, hey, don't forget that I held your hand through the first part. And I was like, come on, that's what I heard. And I was like, man, where'd that come from? Like, that sounded like something I read. And he took me back to Ezekiel when he was like, I brought you out. And he was like, man, I held y'all. Like, he was talking to the children of Israel. Yeah. He was like, hey, man, y'all were naked. Yeah. I led y'all out of this stuff. Like, I held y'all hand because they had forgot about what he did. Yeah. He said, don't forget. Y'all was the smallest tribe. Y'all was naked. I forget Ezekiel 30-something. Yeah. But he's like, hey, man, I led y'all out of this by my hand. He's like, don't forget when I held your hand through the process, you didn't do anything to get it. Yeah. So don't try to work it out on your own. Yeah, you got the experience, but I brought this. So give it to me. And it's been happening like that. Wow. Like every time I put something together, it's like, God will meet me there. He'll meet me there. And it's like, dang, bro. Literally those videos y'all see is bro, we was gonna have a cell phone. I don't know how we was gonna, but them clips is doing like wonders, man. Like it's circulating. People, I was on TikTok and this atheist, like, man, as an atheist, like this was like,
man,
just the fact that you would say that, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's doing something, but it's only God that though we got that video and it's like state of the art, man. Like,
that's beautiful.
I couldn't have did it and I didn't do it.
Dog, listen, I'll talk to you about this off camera, but this story just encouraged me in ways you don't even know, man, in so many ways. And so thank you for sharing that testimony because, bro, we don't hear stories like that. It's always, man, I had a plan, I had a vision, and I had a budget, and I executed that joint. But
$0, but I don't be having no money, man. I'm telling you, these are the, like, bro, like, I was thinking about this. It's like, if God, you ever seen The Chosen?
I need to. I have the app downloaded and everything, but I have not yet seen it. Yeah.
It's good because it really like kind of shows Jesus as a human, like really like being a human, like kind of like how we talking is he's talking to these people, but he chose them. Yeah. He chose the disciples. And if he chose them, he has to provide and make sure that he takes care. He chose me to be like he called me, separate, redeem me. Yeah. He gave me the gift to make people laugh. Yeah. So if I like, I didn't ask for it. Yeah. So he got to provide. He got to provide the stuff for me to like execute the thing. I just got to trust that he'll do it. So it's like, bro, I didn't know my own story. Yeah. It ain't no like, bro, I really like put the sleepless night, bro. Sometimes I don't be doing what I be needing to do. But he still like meet me there. It's like, bro, I need you to do this and I'm gonna provide for you. Just go. It ain't none of that, bro. It's literally like, if it wasn't for like relationships and stuff like that, like God allowing me to meet certain people, bro, like these, I wouldn't have this stuff because it's like, it's really nothing that I'm doing special. People be like, well, how you booked it? Bro, I can't tell you. I really have no strategy. I don't even got a strategy for the next one. I'll just be like, shoot, people want to let do it. Like, and he gonna do what he do. You know what I'm saying? So
I somebody once said, his will, his bill. You know what I'm saying? If that's something,
God can pay it.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. Bro, I could talk to you for another hour easily. This is fueling my faith and just feeding my spirit. But wanted to ask you one last question, man. Like, for those that are tuning in and, you know, maybe don't have a relationship with God, or if they do, they don't associate God with humor. Bro, actually, when you were talking earlier, I thought of a verse. You remember that passage where this is by far the funniest passage of scripture for me, when Elijah, you know, calls Baal out and he's like, yo, whoever's God is real, the God of Israel or Baal, they'll answer by fire. Mm-hmm. And bro, Elijah be roasting in that passage. He's like, maybe he's on vacation, maybe he's sleeping. Maybe I was like, golly, me and Elijah could be friends because that was hilarious. But like, maybe they don't associate God with humor, that, you know, they've got to move away from the church to laugh, or they don't know how to reconcile laughter and faith. What would be your last encouragement? What would be your last bit of advice for just the church and humor and where those two intersect?
So are you asking like for a person that doesn't know?
Yeah, for like either the unbeliever or the person who believes but has the background you and I have, and they don't know how that works, you know?
Man, to be honest, people that see my company could probably explain this a lot better than I can, but it's like one of the things you just got to experience. I can explain it to you, but like, I just tell people like, bro, you just have to experience God. It's like, you could look at me doing comedy and stuff like this. Like, you could look at us having this conversation and see that, like, man, maybe Christianity or God is not what I think that he is. The fact that we're having a conversation, we're laughing, we're joking, talking about God. It's like, bro, like, just it's like it's because people can like, you can have bad experiences, but those be from people that come in the name of Jesus. But that heart may not be in the right place, and they can mess it up for you. But it ain't nothing like that authentic encounter that you have to really experience like the freedom of Jesus Christ. Like people taught me about God, but I had an encounter with him through a preacher. But his God was there. Like he exposed himself in it, and I had to experience. I experienced it for myself. So I mean, you could look at laughter. You can laugh and all. It's like God is love. You know what I'm saying? He loves us like, and his love can do wonders for like anybody. So I don't. It's like again, I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. But if it was like you can come to God and not miss out on it. Like you're not missing out on anything. It's not a waste of time. It's like, dang, I'm losing all this. No, you're gaining. You just have to see it as that. And like it ain't easy, but it's worth it. So
that's good, man. That's so good. Yeah, I love that, man.
It's all process, man. I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing your story, your testimony, how you got into comedy, what God has been doing with you behind the scenes with comedy. It's a real beautiful journey, man. And I'm rooting for you. Just know that. I hope you sell out arenas, dog. I want you to put Kevin Hart out of business. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, hey, man.
But yeah, we need you, dog.
We gonna keep going.
Yeah, we need your ministry. We need laughter, and I pray that God blesses the fruit of your labor, bro. And so,
hey, appreciate it. Sometimes when people invite me on the podcast or they be want me to talk, they be thinking that like, because you're not the first person to say it's like, bro, I thought we was gonna get some jokes, but you actually like saying something different. But it'd be crazy because I'll be thinking like, well, do they want me to be funny or what? But I just be telling the story like, this is what it really is. It's like, well, I thought I was gonna get some jokes. Not that it's bad or anything, but it's like
I feel it.
It just, you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
There's a time and place for everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this guy, I was so interested in like what God was doing with you behind the scenes and just like what fueled you and motivated you, bro. Like I was really intrigued by your story, and I really do believe that what you're doing is important, and we need more cats like this. So yeah, man. So
because if the Christians don't got it, like you gotta think about what we going to, like where I'm gonna get the content from if there's nothing. So I'm just trying to provide something, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'll say this. I'll finish with this story. So I studied psychology in college. That was my background. And in my abnormal psych class, we did a whole bunch of case studies or what have you. And in one of the case studies, we saw a person healed of cancer from laugh therapy. I don't know if you're familiar with laugh therapy, but literally through watching comedy and laughing and watching things that were hilarious, the tumor was like literally it was gone. And I was like, man, we don't talk about this enough, you know, and in the sacred secular divide in the church where you got to pray it away and you got to speak in tongues and go to the church and that's how God's going to heal you. And yes, God heals in that way, but God heals through friendship and laughter and a good meal, bro. Like have you ever like had a great meal and felt better? You know what I mean? Or, you know, like going on a hike and just viewing the mountains or the lakes or the trees. Like there's so many things that the Lord uses outside of the church and prayer and worship that really can minister to our souls. And so you're doing ministry, bro. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but just because you're not preaching a sermon doesn't mean you're not ministering to the soul, bro. So.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal, man. Just trying to use what the Lord gave me, man.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you for all the listeners who tuned in. Until next time, family, peace and grace.